Hello and welcome to the second episode of our series, Arbitration Amidst Adversity, a few from Ukraine. My name is Volodymyr Yaremko. I'm senior lawyer in international arbitration practice at Mayer Brown. I'm honored to host this series in which we explore stories of remarkable Ukrainian women being active in international arbitration. The full-scale war in Ukraine commenced on 24th of February 2022, and it inevitably had significant impact on their professional and personal lives. And our aim is to increase awarenesses of their experience, sharing each of their individual stories. Today, we are recording in the London office of Mayer Brown, and I'm pleased to welcome Svitlana Romanova. Hello, Svitlana, and welcome, and thank you so much for agreeing to take part in our series.
Thank you for inviting. Always pleasure.
Svitlana is a general counsel at Metinvest, a group of companies active in steel and mining industry with operations not only in Ukraine but also in Europe and the US. Svitlana is experienced in international arbitration, leading and directing both in-house and external legal teams. Before joining Metinvest, Svitlana experienced working as a partner and international law firm in Kyiv, and also has experience in legal department of a large US food industry corporation. My first question to you, Svitlana, is about your personal experience. It's already more than 2 years since the war commenced in Ukraine. How you managed to cope during those 2 years, and what can you share about your personal journey?
Well, good thing I'm still alive and kicking, and I'm here. I was really pushed to learn to embrace the change in my personal life. I was really pushed to accept the change and not only to proceed in these new circumstances, but try to excel. And I think this is really something which amazes me not only in myself, but in other people as well. Being able to adapt and to take the best out of the situation and to grow the best in yourself. So I did have my difficulties in accepting certain changes, again, in my personal circumstances as well. Unfortunately, I had to bury my father a week before the war. It was difficult enough.
I'm sorry to hear this.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly in a week, the war started, and I not only lost part of my family, my father, I lost my home. And I had to move the kids, and I had to actually learn how to live from the scratch without organized house, without organized life, without, your general routes and routines which you normally follow in your life. Because human beings, in my opinion, we all strive for stability. We talk about stability. We need stable economy. We need stable lives. We need stable employment. We talk a lot about stability, but this is never going to happen. And we need to accept that change is a part of our lives. And this is unfortunately, I had to learn it difficult way. But at this point in time, I feel gratefulness to life that I had that lesson, and that life told me that, look, Svitlana, you have to start living again, living in a turmoil, living in chaos, living in this change. And this is the way to be better. And it did make me better because it brought in me quite a few good qualities, I believe. Some of them are good, some of them may be viewed not as good, but I started thinking how my kids feel their life and feel the situation through their eyes. And I realized that being a kid means that you do not have a critical thinking. You view your life and you view your circumstances through the eyes of the people who surround you. And that is very important because they are reflecting what you feel, reflecting how you react. And that made me think that I have to really brace myself, really hold myself. And the most difficult was to keep smiling to my kids and saying, yeah, we're traveling. Yeah, life is going on. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. So you need to think about your studies. Yes, you do have a new school. You do have new friends. You do have a new place to live. But yeah, that's good. Isn't it cool?
I really echo what you're saying because it reminds me of one of my favorite movie with Roberto Benigni, The Life is Beautiful, La Vita Bella.
Absolutely. So that's something which I never realized, but I started thinking about very, very much during the last 2 years, because kids need to look at me and need to see that stability until they get enough of their own critical thinking, of their own ability to assess the situation, to make their own opinion about what is going on, and to make, as a consequence, to make their own decisions. So sourcing my own energy, obviously each of us has a source of energy, and each of us sooner or later runs out of that energy, gets tired, gets frustrated, gets disillusioned, just loses, faith. So getting new sources of energy, trying to use that internal energy in a more efficient way, in a more economical way, just to be there. Be there for my 2 kids, and they're young. My daughter is 12, and my youngest son is 5. Be there for my, recently widowed mom, and also for our nanny who's still traveling with us. It's a lot. And the lesson I've learned also that there is a huge difference between being responsible on one hand and being fully responsible on the other hand. Between these two, there's a huge gap. I suddenly realized what it means to be fully responsible. Because in a click, I had to be a driver, a translator, a procurer, logistics person, organizer, everything for at least 5 people around me in my personal life. And that taught me a lot and required a lot.
And you speak about immediate days after 24th of February 2022. So had you any time, I don't know, to realize it, to mobilize yourself, and I'm asking also because I know that for you, for your family, and also for Metinvest, it was not the first time, that you experience basically invasion, because you in 2014 when Russia occupied Crimea and followed all the activities we know in Donetsk, you were based there, and many of your employees and your family were based there. So how was it comparing that experience you had in 2014?
Well, touching upon those times, and we're talking about 2014, and in fact, I don't know whether the general public knows or realizes it, but in fact, the Russian invasion started back then, back in 2014, when Russia, bluntly invaded the territory, annexed Crimea, and also took over the eastern territories of Ukraine. Metinvest Group historically was organized and was domiciled in Donetsk, in the city of Donetsk, in the eastern part of Ukraine. This is where our main production facilities were located and are still located. And the entire company was headquartered in Donetsk, and we were working out of Donetsk. And I do remember those times because that was the first time we had to evacuate the company, evacuate the families, reshuffle, reorganize, rebuild implement new procedures, new standards, new approaches to pretty much everything. And I do remember the feeling of fright, the feeling of, it's just kind of the feeling which does not let you concentrate because you're so emotionally involved, so emotionally feeling everything which is around you, with your hands trembling, with your heart, going fast and then stopping and then fast again and then stopping. It was a hard time. And the evacuation happened unexpectedly because it all started with actually bombing of the Donetsk airport. And I was called by our management to fly out of Donetsk on that day. However, I didn't make it quite to our plane. I was stopped by the patrol, by the police, and they looked into the car. I had a half-naked baby daughter at that point of time. She was 2.5. I was not properly dressed as well, because as I said, it was just a call and I had just 15 minutes to make it to the plane. Never made it. Our corporate plane took off, and I tend to believe it was the last actual plane which left the airport before it was
May
destroyed.
2014.
It was May 2014. So I had actually to drive out of the city and actually to make our way to Kiev. And then there were lots of things which followed. Obviously, on the business side, we had to evacuate our people, and we told our people to go to the cities, to the villages, to the places they have housing, be it their own housing or be it the housing of their parents. And those employees who were originally from Donetsk, from the city where we were headquartered, we evacuated and we actually supported them in finding their housing in Mariupol. And then when it was apparent that we are not coming back, because we honestly believed that we would be coming back, that it will be over. But then we realized that we're not coming back. We're not coming back to our apartments, to our houses, to our schools, to our offices. We had to reestablish, and after decentralization, we had to centralize the office again, but this time around in Kiev. And this is where the office is right now. We are legally structured through Dutch BV, and we have a main headquarters in Amsterdam. However, the operational block is centrally located in Kiev since 2014.
And this brings us to issue of your professional experience and as a general counsel of Metinvest and of your teammates and colleagues. But before moving to this, just to say that I joined 2 years ago around Mayor Brown and was impressed by the global reach of the firm with various offices all over the world. And only in arbitration practice there is plenty of colleagues, more than 100. And I worked within those 2 years with colleagues from US, Brazil, Europe, Middle East, Asia, in addition to London office I'm based. And in many of those matters I have been involved, it was related somehow and triggered, the inquiries from clients were triggered by the war in Ukraine. Yeah. And I can imagine that for Metinvest the impact was significant. And so my question is to you about leadership. What is for you to be a leader in time of crisis and such crisis as a war, and such situation for your team and for your company, and do you think it's a time of survival, or conversely it's a time of new opportunities?
I wanted to say it's an interesting question, but in fact it's quite a general question. Lots of people are saying it's like, what does it feel like? And my response would be, the fact is you don't have time to feel You only have time to make decisions and to implement them. Because crisis, doesn't matter where it happens, in Ukraine, elsewhere in the world, and it doesn't matter what type of crisis it is, whether it's war, something else, crisis is a time with no time. You do not have time. And that's what makes crisis a crisis. And when you don't have time, you have to act. You don't have time to discuss. You don't have time to search. You don't have time to deliberate, to think. You don't have time to be in doubts. You, as a leader, you are expected to take decisions, to be concrete, to tell what to do, where to run, what to look at, where to focus on, and so on and so forth. And again, that brings us to responsibility, yeah, and to the fact that during the crisis, leadership is tested, yeah? Tested for its realness, is tested for its goodness. I don't know whether it's a proper English word, but for its, whether it's leadership, in fact, or whether it's just a word. Because leadership doesn't come with a title, believe me. Leadership doesn't come with a position or a chair or a nice office, for that matter, or with your salary. It doesn't. Leadership comes from within, and leadership comes from your being able to manage yourself. Because before managing others, before leading others, you have to manage and lead yourself. And that requires quite a lot. Because if you cannot do it towards yourself, how are you supposed to do it in respect of others? So leadership in crisis is a very important thing. And it requires a lot of strength and a lot of gut, a lot of character. And it requires you to be very courageous and brave, because, we're all people. And as people, we're all afraid to make mistakes, especially, if your sphere of responsibility is large, or is the issue at stake is important. You're afraid to make a mistake.
And you have almost no time
Correct.
Examples of similar stations.
Correct. And you don't have time to think. It's like, okay, should I go this way or should I go that way? Doesn't matter which way, evacuate the people. Doesn't matter which way, out. Yeah? So it's about time, and it's about not talking, but doing. And it's about a lot of talking, believe it or not. I just said that don't talk, do. Mm-hmm. But in order to make others do, mm-hmm. you have to talk. And you have to talk in a way that people trust you, believe you, and people find their inner balance and inner strength and find their resource and energy in your words, in your energy, in what they hear from you. So I found it very important, and this is what I teach my senior staff, my management, saying we need to talk, not to hide behind the emails, not to avoid meetings, which we were taught to avoid due to Corona and pandemia, not to switch off our cameras, on Zoom or Teams meetings. No, talking, live talking, touching people, holding their hands. And that's a skill which we lost. In many, many years, we lost it. This skill went all the way down. And the crisis, this is the time then this skill should go up. And there are just a few people who can do it. Because, as I said, it requires quite a lot. So I found myself talking a lot to my team, to my people. And you would say, it's like, what did you talk about? I was sitting there, and the only thing I knew, I have to talk. Didn't know, didn't have time to decide what to talk about. So what did I do? I made a decision that I'm putting a meeting into the calendars of all lawyers within the group, inviting them to a meeting which is called no matter what meeting. It's a meeting without a title. It's a meeting without a subject matter. It's a meeting without a particular purpose. It's a meeting for us just to get together. And it felt strange at first.
It was a regular meeting.
Once a month, I tried to do it. But it felt strange because I would get 160 people on Teams, all lawyers in different places, in different personal situations, in different state of their emotional balance. And I was looking at those faces on the Teams, on names in the list. Obviously, you cannot see all of them in one screen. And I was going like this, all right, I had a crappy day today. Do you want to hear about it? And I would be telling them, that I had a bad mood and that I have a problem and that my kids got me really upset. And I would be talking to them about anything which I could think of. And then I would start questions as like, anyone had a crappy day too? And they would say, yeah, we had a crappy day. And it was surprisingly, so I sat 3 meetings and then I said, it's like, do you want to continue? And people wanted to continue just talking to each other. So crisis management is not only about things, not only about results, not only about money, not only about kind of a concrete business, because there is none as such. Behind everything is a person. Yeah? Behind everything is a team, group of people. And the main task of a real leader, manager, leader, top manager, whatever you call that person in mind, not to take care of business, but to take care of people. And the only way to take care of people is just talk to them through the hard times, talking. And that turned out to be the hardest. As we speak right now in Kiev, my people are doing it. They are doing it and they got people from all over the country. And today there is a large meeting of corporate and M&A lawyers of our group taking place in our Kiev office. And they got into Kiev, they traveled to Kiev from all over, got into the same room, and they sit there and talk about everything. And they're having dinner afterwards. Very important. I talk too much about that, but I truly believe that this is the core of leadership in crisis. And I think that we have a crisis of leadership. We're lacking leadership in crisis, but we have crisis of leadership. And that the discussion I'm constantly having with the people I work with the people I talk to, and I'm asked, it's like, okay, what should we do? And I said, okay, be yourself, start talking. You need to look strong, but you need to admit that you're not that strong. You need to show that, yeah, I'm a chief legal officer for the largest industrial group in the country, but my people need to know that I had a crappy day too, same as them. And that my kids, same as theirs, upset me too. And I have my personal issues, and I feel the same way, and I go through this war and through this crisis same way they do, and that what helps them, and that what helps the team, and that what helps to actually go forward, realizing that you're not alone in all of this.
Thank you, Svitlana, for sharing this experience and this insight. And for our audience, how large is the legal department of Metinvest? How big is your team?
That's a topic which pains me a lot, because before the war, we used to have a head count up to 250 people in legal department alone. When the war started, obviously, the story of Azovstal, the story of
one of your assets.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the core assets which we lost in Mariupol, along with a number of other plants in that city. And recently, we actually lost control and physically losing Avdiivka coking plant. And this is the largest coking plant in the entire Europe. And now it's just being wiped out from the surface of the Earth. So with all those losses, physical losses of our assets, we had to downsize. And right now, our headcount is roughly 170 people.
170 people, still, I think, more than the largest Ukrainian law firm these days.
Yes and no. Yes, because if we look numbers, you're right. No, because the real value is not measured by quality. By quantity, I apologize, but by quality. So I'm not really looking into the numbers. I'm looking into the quality, and this is talking about what I do there, because obviously I'm not a lawyer, but I manage the lawyers, right? And one of my tasks, actually, task number one, is how to ensure quality of our work. Yeah, quality of our work in terms of substance of what we do, and quality of our work in terms of the client service and client experience which we deliver. And in that respect, I think we are very similar to a law firm, and we have the same values, and we have very high standards, professional standards and service standards, which we implement within Metinvest Group. And by the way, this year, talking about finalizing the answer to your question, what's it about? Is it about survival? No, it's not. It's about future. It's about ability to see your future, not to see the fog on the road, but to understand and to know where you go, despite the fog. If you drive in the car on the road and you experience fog, heavy fog on the road, you do not stop, right? You do not turn your back and you do not return to where you started, right? You continue moving, keeping in mind where you want to go. So we are doing the same. And this year, we are revisiting actually our mission and vision, and we're about to finalize it and to release. And based on our renewed vision and mission, we are reviewing our model of competences, professional competences, which we use as a basis for many things, internal evaluations, hirings, promotions. So we decided that it's about time, because the corona as well as the war added so much new angles and focuses to our work that we have to revisit it. So we're heavily looking into where we go. And for us, it's about not what's happening now, it's about what is going to happen tomorrow. And in this respect, we're mirroring our business, because business is thinking about future. Business is thinking about next step. Business is thinking about where we will be after all of this ended. So that's not about survival right now. Was it? It was. Not now.
You have been through so much during the last 2 years. So my final question to you, Svitlana, is about lessons learned. Let us say 3 key lessons learned which you would like to share with our audience.
I wouldn't call it 3 lessons. I would give you 3 words. Enjoy your life. And that's what we should do. Enjoy your life. And I think that's the best lesson we've learned out of the situation. And then we can go on into details and explain what it means. But I don't think that is necessary, because enjoyment is a very personal thing. And whatever it is for you or for any of those people who surround us, it's for each of them to decide. So, but I wish everyone ability, not physical, which is important and basic, but real emotional ability to live and not to exist.
It's conclude our conversation. Thank you so much for this truly insightful insights and your experience you shared. Thank you to our audience for watching us today. And please do not miss our next episode of Arbitration Amid Adversity, a view from Ukraine.